Welcome and thanks Amit for the very sweet words about me. Uh, Before inviting my chairman, I will tell you something about tuberculosis which is very known to you. India accounts for nearly 1/3 of the global burden of TB and 2/3 of the total cases of Southeast Asia. Nearly 40% of the Indian population is infected with TB bacillus. Each year, 1.8 million new cases of TB occurs in the country. The disease is prevalent in the age group of 20 to 25 years, which is a very productive period of our life. And mind this, the combined death of TB and definitely surpasses all of the communicable diseases. And I like to highlight one of the very important thing that the state version was discovered by Dr. Waxman in 1944. In 1948, PAS was discovered, 1952, INS was discovered, and after that, pyrazinamide and rifampicin. After that, no other drugs are really discovered except the rifampicin and also rizorin, which is really a very good drug. I will not tell anything about these things. It is a really product of the Cadila and research product. And I also like to highlight one very important funny facts, that the interesting fact that TB, that infected people, only 5% people develop disease, and another 5% or more post-disease part, 90% are all cured automatically by the immunity. But the picture changes only after the HIV infection or advent of the HIV. So these are the facts very well known to you. Now I invite my chairman, Dr. Somnath Mitro. Dr. Somnath Mitro is the current physician and chest specialist attached to the KPC Medical College. His education MBBS, DTCD, CSM Gold Medalist. He is a life member of Indian Chest Society, life member of Indian Sleep Disorder, and is a founder member of the Association of Chest Physicians, Calcutta, and he is now the organizing chairman of the annual Indian Chest Society Association of Chest Physicians. And I invite Dr. Somnath Mitro to the dais.
Good evening, guests, my colleagues and friends. I must admit, actually, I thought I will just give some preamble and invite our speaker. But this is a bit different experience of attending a seminar. I have attended so many seminars. But this is something different. And the ball started rolling from Dr. Modi's speech. Innovation is a term. There are many physicians here, cardiologists, chest specialists. Innovation, at least think something out of your box. It's nothing, you have to think only. And if you think, you can maybe help humanities, and everybody will be there to help you. So many things are there, we just study and write these prescriptions, but we have to take a holistic approach. And I heard from our soccer friend that forward, midfielders, goalkeepers, they are all in the team. So here we will think as ourselves as an 11-member team, and we will go together. We heard from Dr. Bishwas that India is a 200 million people, and that is our strength. But believe me, for something like TB, it is not so good, because a percentage of 12 million to 100 million is gross. And I have come across, actually, when I was there in another hospital, we used to see more than 30 MDs, tuberculosis patients in-house. We have seen them suffer. They are away from their home. Actually, we could treat them in-house for more than 2.5 years. After 1 year, they were diagnosed as MDR TB. So actually, they were away from their home for almost 3 years. Almost like a jail. And so to prevent MDR, we have to treat TB as such. And about the polypill, fixed dose combination, it is also applicable to tuberculosis. Because everywhere, every person here, doctors, non-doctors, scientists, teachers, can you tell, if we don't think about chronic diseases, just anything, you have given a prescription of antibiotics for 7 days, say. If you feel well or after 3 to 4 days, do you continue for 7 days? You don't. So how can we expect a person to take every day or every alternate day drugs for 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years? It's just impossible. Human nature is not like that. So we have to think about something different. So how can we do it? We have to find out the patients, treat them early, isolate them, treat them early, and treat them by the short course, as short as possible. And here also, after rifampicin, there are not many good drugs available. Dr. Khana will tell about it. And Risorin has come out. And we want to do more trials here so that we can, person can get benefit. We can cut short the side effects. So without wasting much time, I now request our speaker, Dr. Monotosh Khara. He is a current consultant physician at Howrah. He is MBBS done his MBBS from University of North Bengal, MD from University of Calcutta, and DNB Respiratory Medicine, New Delhi. He has got several awards. To name a few, he has got Dr. Kanchana Panikabhutta Outstanding Award for 3rd position in Diploma in STD AIDS, Thailand, Bangkok. He is a fellow of American College of Chest Physicians, and he bagged Professor K.C. Mohanty Best Paper Award in NAPCON 2011, Bangalore. And he was also an organizing secretary of our Association of Chest Physicians, in 2011. So I request Dr. Khana to deliver his lecture, please.
Sure. Respected chairperson and moderator and senior, junior and junior colleagues. I was supposed to talk for 30 minutes to cover such a big subject, but as it has already caused strain, so I will try to make short my speech as short as possible. First thing, you have already heard that TB is a big problem that is already discussed by the moderator and chairperson. What is the problem? The biggest problem of effective TB control are delay in the diagnosis, and second, the patient has to take anti-tubercular drugs for more than 6 months. This has been discussed already. This has been discussed. The bad news by WHO, that is 24% of global missed TB cases in India. This is another bad news from WHO in 2012. Childhood tuberculosis cases highest in India. These are all bad news. So I have decided to discuss my talks in 2 parts. First part 1, that is advancement in diagnostic of tuberculosis. We have acid fast bacilli staining. We have culture for Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Then why we do require newer diagnostic method? That is the question it must come in our mind. Let us see the drawbacks of acid fast staining, which is most commonly used for the diagnosis of tuberculosis. It is quicker and cheaper, that's no problem with that. But sensitivity is low as high as 45 to 80%. And that is sensitivity is further lowered in extrapulmonary tuberculosis in childhood and particularly in HIV positive persons. It can't differentiate between the tuberculosis and MOT. Why it is important to differentiate between tuberculosis and MOT? Because the treatment strategy, drug regimen are entirely different for MOT, that is Mycobacterium other than tuberculosis, otherwise known as atypical Mycobacterium infection. So we need to know whether the tubercle infection, that is acid fast staining positivity, is it due to the Mycobacterium tuberculosis itself or by MOT? This is very important. Culture is a gold standard for the diagnosis of tuberculosis. Sensitivity and specificity is very high, but it takes about 8 weeks. And same thing to bactet, it again takes almost 2 weeks for MERS positive cases and longer in smear negative cases. So what are the rapid molecular diagnostic tests? For diagnosis of any disease, we require such an ideal diagnostic methodology which would have characteristics like it should be quicker, it should be faster, it should be easily available, it should be cheaper, all these things. But as I have already mentioned, we are missing some of the important points of an ideal diagnostic methods which I have already mentioned. Now we are coming to the rapid molecular diagnostic test. What is done in this test? The clinical sample either could be sputum or can be blood or can be urine that will be taken out from the patient. Nucleic acid is extracted. After that, with the help of PCR, amplification is done, and after hybridization, we can have the diagnosis whether the sample contains tubercle bacilli or not. It has some advantages. I have already mentioned for diagnosis of tuberculosis with the nucleic acid amplification assay, result is obtained within 2 hours, and its sensitivity and specificity is very high. As low as 10 bacilli in a sample can yield the positive result. Only negative or disadvantage of this nucleic acid amplification is that it is costlier. It is costlier and not available everywhere. There is CDC recommendation for the use of nucleic acid amplification assays. The recommendation tell us that we should send sample from all tuberculosis suspect patient, both for AFB smear study and for nucleic acid amplification. If the both test, that is smear is positive, nucleic acid amplification is positive, it is certain to be tuberculosis. If both are negative, no tuberculosis. But if the smear is negative and nucleic acid amplification is positive, we have to send the additional sample for fresh examination. If it again become positive, that means it is presumed that the patient is suffering from tuberculosis. And last one is that if smear is positive, but nucleic acid amplification assay is negative, again we have to send the fresh sample for nucleic acid amplification. If it is negative again and smear become positive, it is presumed that the patient is suffering from what? That is Mycobacterium other than tuberculosis, that is atypical mycobacterial infection. This is the recommendation by CDC. But one point I want to remember you that we should advise nucleic acid amplification assay when we have the high suspicion of tuberculosis in a particular patient. We should not prescribe or advise nucleic acid amplification assay when we are having little or no suspicion of tuberculosis. This is one case, as because you are a treating clinician. 38-year-old male presented with a bout of hemoptysis. He completed anti-tubercular therapy 3 months back. There is no pyrexia, there is no chest pain. Chest X-ray done, just old thrombotic lesion in the left upper zone. Sputum dust thrice turned out to be negative, but nucleic acid amplification in this case found to be positive. How we should interpret? Again, which I have told you that when the clinical suspicion is high, we have to interpret this newer diagnostic test in such a way, because dead bacilli from an organism, from a person, can be said for a variable period even after completion of anti-tubercular therapy. So it is false positive nucleic acid amplification assay. Now we are coming to the molecular drug resistance test. So far I have told you how nucleic acid amplification assay help us to diagnose tuberculosis very quickly within 2 hours. Now I am coming to a subject not only to know whether the patient is suffering from tuberculosis, but we want to know whether that tubercle bacilli in a particular patient is resistant to rifampicin INH, yes or not. That we want to know, and that is within very few hours that we want to know. And here is the molecular drug resistance testing. Rapid detection of drug resistance strain in a person who has come to us for the with symptoms of tuberculosis and sputum AB is positive, if we know the drug resistance pattern of a particular patient, that will actually help us early access to appropriate therapy and reduce transmission rate and also improves treatment outcome. Just please keep in mind that by this nucleic acid amplification assay, we are not going to detect phenotypic resistant pattern. It will detect only the resistant mutant, which actually will tell us whether the particular antitubercular drug is resistant to this or not. Real-time PCR, it is a cartridge-based automated test. It can be done, identifies 98% of bacteria that are resistant to rifampicin in the last study. This is a great endorsement by WHO. In 2010, WHO endorsed that GenExpert to be used in endemic countries like ours, and it declares as a major milestone for the global TB diagnosis. So much importance has been given by WHO. This line probe assay, it simultaneously detects infection with Mycobacterium tuberculosis as well as use amplify region of drug resistance. So give us idea about the resistant pattern of the tubercle bacilli of a particular patient, so we can formulate our drug regimen accordingly. The second one, particularly this is a newer generation LPA, that is MTB-DRSL. SL means second line drugs. This group of LPA not only tell us whether TB is present or not only tell us whether the patient is resistant to rifampicin or NIH, that is MDR, it will also tell us resistance to quinonal groups of drugs, resistance to aminoglycoside groups of drugs, and also resistance to ethambutol. It is a great thing we have now. So this, I am not going in details because I have to cut. So how much we can rely, this question will automatically come to us, because we do have our phenotypic resistant pattern. It takes about 8 weeks time. Now we are having within few hours or few days we can have the resistant pattern. Now the question automatically will come in our mind, how much we can rely on the result of drug resistant pattern obtained from LPA. Yes, every diagnostic modalities have got some limitation. LPA has got some limitation. They can detect only the well characterized drug resistance allele, not every drug resistance allele. This is one. Second thing, that it may sometimes give rise to false positive resistant pattern, because it detects sometimes also silent resistant pattern. That is, so clinical correlation is very important. Just for the judicial use of nucleic acid amplification assay in our clinical practice, sample normal PCR, if there is MOT, it identified hind test, 21 species can be identified, and if there is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, do the second line drugs, whether resistance is there, we start resistant other drugs. If there is no resistance, start with standard antitubercular drugs. This is about the diagnostic modalities. Now near drug development. Why we should really need the newer drug development? We do have in our hand 4 very important drugs like rifampicin, INAG, ethambutol, pyrazinamide. They are not only available, they are very effective, and if it is given free of cost our poor patients, in spite of all these things, of this fact, we are still away from the control of tuberculosis, as has been mentioned by our chairperson. So new drugs are really needed. Why? A patient suffering from tuberculosis, he has to take drugs for 6 months at least. It is very long time. It is urgent, it is the need of the day that we should reduce the antitubercular regimen from 6 months to at least 4 months. This is very important. Second thing, that as already mentioned by Dr. Somnath Mitra, for treatment of MDR TB or XDR TB, patient has to take more than 6 drugs, those who are very expensive, and it has to be taken at least 18 months after sputum conversion for MDR TB. For XDR, there is no very clear-cut effective drugs. That's why we need newer drugs for identification. But the sad thing is that as have been told by so many faculty members earlier, that major pharma multinational companies have already cut down their research funding in tuberculosis, because tuberculosis is a poor man's disease. The person of the poor countries are suffering from tuberculosis. As it is written here, the Pfizer has shut down TB drug discovery program in 2012 and Astra in 2013 and Novartis in 2014. Now, who are doing this research work? This is TB Alliance. TB Alliance is a global non-profit organization dedicated for the innovation and development of new drugs. So all the research work now ongoing on the global region, that is done mostly by TB Alliance. New 2 drugs have been discovered, approved by MDR. One is the beta-coiledin and second is the delamanite. I am not getting into details. This has been studied, beta-coiledin, it has been US approved by 2012. It has no cross-resistance with the commonly used antitubercular drugs, but beta-coiledin sometimes cause QT prolongation. So we need to monitor by ECG. Its dose is 400 milligram daily for first 2 weeks and total duration is 6 months. This is another drug, nitroimidazole group, recommended. It has been approved by European Union and it is undergoing stage 3 trial in USA. Other drugs, sutazolid and SQ and pretinomide, all these drugs are in pipelines. They are not yet approved. They are on the pipeline. This I am not going in details because time is short. I am going to other parts also. It is a analog, sutazolid is analog of linezolid. Does not interact with hepatic enzymes. This is a good drug, currently undergoing phase 2B and 3 trial. No significant cytochrome P450 interaction, so useful option for infection of tuberculosis in HIV. Yes. As I have told and as you are thinking, we need to cut short the duration of antitubercular therapy. Here is the role of moxifloxacillin. Trial is ongoing to shorten the duration of antitubercular therapy. Remox TB trial is ongoing. Still it is ongoing in April 2014, but not recurrent, but the study is ongoing now. I am not going into it. It's very encouraging Remox trials that is not yet approved, but is very encouraging that moxifloxacillin is going to cut short the duration of antitubercular therapy in near future. Novel combination for treat MDR tuberculosis. As Dr. Somnath Mittal has told, that patient has to take so many drugs for MDR tuberculosis for so many months, more than 18 months after sputum conversion. But this is a trial ongoing with the moxifloxacillin, that is P824 and PZ, only 3 drugs for the treatment of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, and that only for 4 to 6 months only, and that only at a very affordable price. The trial is now ongoing. This is another trial, this last trial I will mention here. This is, at present, we don't have any drugs for the treatment of XDR tuberculosis, rather no specific drugs. New trial is ongoing, that is next TB, to find out trial drugs for XDR TB regimen. This includes beta-coiledin, PA824 and sutazolid. And not only that, probably that will cut down anti-XDR TB treatment 6 months only. Now, Rizorin, Indian innovation, joint venture by Cadila Pharma and CSIR Jammu. Little innovative some changes in the formula of rifampicin has done to cut short or to overcome few of the side effects of rifampicin. Just I am going in details now. This is a relook in rifampicin. We know it is overall it is a well-tolerated drug, but it has got some side effects like GI upset, pruritus, and dose-related hepatitis, and these side effects are more common in HIV patients. And another point I want to highlight, the dose, that is adverse reactions related to rifampicin is dose dependent. That is, higher the dose of rifampicin, more the chances of developing adverse reaction. One more important point, that study was done and was published in Journal of Clinical Pharmacology in 1987. Rifampicin, as you all know, induces CYP450 PGP and glucuronidation in liver and intestine. Not only it reduces the bioavailability of other drugs, it also reduces its own bioavailability. That is very important. So there is a study here. In this study, I can say you that on day 1, that is the first day when the patient start to taking rifampicin, bioavailability was 93%. Just after 3 weeks, that bioavailability came down to 68 only. So problem with bioavailability is there with standard rifampicin. This was a study published in Chest. Out of 22 patients, 14 patients actually have low serum level of rifampicin. There are so many studies, but I am not going in detail. First question is a basic question, why rifampicin should be included in every regimen? Because, just I can show you the slide, rifampicin is the only drug which acts against the extracellular organism, secondly against the intracellular organism, and also the organism TB bacilli who are residing in solid caseous materials. No other anti-tubercular drugs are effective against so much type of tuberculous bacilli. That's why rifampicin should and must be included in every regimen. So the problem is that we have already told that rifampicin may have sometimes severe GI side effect. It may sometimes, studies shown that it reduces its own bioavailability. So here is the product Rizorin. It contains piperine, is a potent bioavailability enhancer. It not only enhances the bioavailability of rifampicin, also other drugs like propranolol, thioronil, nevirapine, etc. By way of inhibiting this enzyme, which causes actually reduction in the bioavailability of rifampicin and other drugs. Stage 3 trial is there, and Rizorin group and standard therapy group studied. I am not going in detail. So advantages of Rizorin are two mainly. First, as the dose of rifampicin in Rizorin is 200 only instead of 450, so lesser chance of drug-related side effect. This is one. Secondly, piperine, as because along with rifampicin is there, it inhibits the reduction of bioavailability of rifampicin in a TB patient, which is very important to prevent drug resistance or failure. So this is my last slide. I am happy to finish much earlier as I have told actually. So my take-home message is that nucleic acid amplification assay enables to diagnose MDR very early. In near future, we are going to cut down the duration of antitubercular therapy to 4 months or so, and new drugs will be available very soon in our anti-MDR XDR armamentarium. But our motto is not to allow MDR or XDR to develop and after that become MDR specialist and treat accordingly with the newer drugs, but our objective really to prevent MDR tuberculosis. And for prevention of MDR tuberculosis, we need to diagnose Mycobacterium tuberculosis infection as early as possible and prescribe judicious anti-TB drugs. I have seen many a times the TB treatment started with 3 drugs only. This has not to be done at that, this has to be stopped. So if you think there is a problem, whether the patient is suffering from TB and what regimen should start with, you please don't take the patient with you, please refer the patient to a specialist. And last what I want to tell you that improve compliance of the TB patient, because less compliance or defaulting is the main reasons for the development of MDR or XDR. So please you doctor, you please increase the compliance, not only counseling the patient, but involves the family members. And not only counseling done on the first visit, please counsel the patient and the family member. At every visit, they will come to you regarding, because sometimes what happens, after 1 or 2 months, patient feels better and he or she think that we are not suffering from anymore for the TB, so I may stop the antitubercular drugs. But we have to tell the patient, you should continue the drugs for 6 months to eradicate all the live bacilli from your body. And if we can do that, then only we can think of TB-free world. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention. Thanks.